Hi, this is Laura. Let me make sure my volume is up because my little girl plays with the little iPad here. So let me go into the YouTube page. I can't be on too long because I have a reading at 9 o'clock. Hey, Herwins, how are you? I have a 9 and a 10 o'clock appointment today. But I did want to talk to you guys a little bit. Let me go into my page here as you guys are populating about Saturn going into Capricorn, okay? And Saturn, the exact date, and I should have written this down beforehand, but I thought Saturn will be going into Capricorn October. Saturn. Where's this? Saturn. Okay, no wrong. Where's it on here? Should have had this ahead of time, but I want to go through each and every sign and tell you kind of like what to expect when Saturn does go into Capricorn. Oh, and I gotta go to my little events as you guys are populating here. Okay, December 19th, Saturn enters Capricorn on December 19th. I don't know why I thought it was October. That it was October. Yes. Let me see, September. I know it's not September. Yep, but December 19. Yes. I'm looking here to make sure I got everything correctly. December 19th, Saturn enters Capricorn. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of go through how it's going to affect each sign. Now, Saturn will be in its own sign, okay? So, hey, everyone who said hi. Wow, you guys got in here fast. Those of you, I want to also put a link here who want to book a reading. I won't be able to take you, just so you know, until tomorrow, okay? So, because I'm booked today, but I just wanted to go over Saturn. Saturn has to do with teaching. It has to do with the taskmaster. It teaches lessons, right? Saturn is, I'm sorry if my face is so close. Saturn is also, the harder you work, the more it pays off, okay? And I remember in, what was the year, like what was it, I believe, when Saturn was in Capricorn, the very last time Saturn was in Capricorn, I was in high school. I do remember this. And it had to be like in 1990 or something like this. I have to go look it up. But I remember when Saturn was in Capricorn, it was the best years of my life. Yes. I went to school. I worked close to full-time. I worked part-time, but I was averaging like 30 hours. Plus, I went to school full-time. So I was working very hard. But don't forget, my fifth house was ruled by Capricorn, right? So I remember it being... like in fifth house is dating, right? It's dating, it's romance, it's children, creative projects, you know. I made a lot more friends and I was dating more, and I met my ex-husband actually during that time. But it was like, if I look back, it was so much fun. I had so much fun. I loved the job that I had. I loved the people that I worked with. It was just wonderful, okay? So, but that was just for me. But I am a workhorse, and I can be like, my work is my love of my life sometimes, you know? And it just so happened I met someone at work. So anyway, for you guys, the harder you work at something, or the more you are driven and hardworking, the better it's going to pay off in whatever house it's in for you, okay? Now for Aries, this is in your 10th house of status, okay? So for you, you may feel like you have to work really hard for your status. You may feel like if you wanted to get married or get that promotion, you're going to have to really be, you know, plugging away to get that accolade, to move forward, okay? And the time to move forward may not be for 2.5 more years, okay, with Saturn in the sign. But it could be that you may, I don't know, for Aries, you may work extremely hard and be very serious about your status, whether it's your business status or your natal, somebody said natal, I'm looking at that. Your business status or your personal status, it just depends, okay? Okay, for Taurus, this is going to be in your 9th house. So this is going to be, you may feel like you're working really hard on studying maybe something. You may find that studies are a little difficult for you. Some of you could be teaching, writing, or publishing. Now, if you're writing something or publishing something, it could be something that takes a very long time to write or a very long time to publish because it can create delays. Travel, there could be delays with travel for the next 2 years after December 19th, this is. Because right now we're still in Saturn and Sag, okay? But after December 19th, you may feel there's delays in these areas, okay? You may feel more restricted, maybe in your beliefs, or if you have anything legal, Taurus, you may feel like it's drawn out. It takes forever to, finish up, okay? Or you may feel restricted in a legal way in some ways, okay? Or maybe you're in a contract that's very binding with Saturn in the 9th too, especially in its own sign, Capricorn, you know what I'm saying? So, okay, Gemini, Saturn in the 8th. Now, this for you guys can create, okay, if you're going to have a sexual relationship, maybe you're feeling like, gosh, the options are just not there, but the options that are there are going to be serious ones. Sometimes when Saturn goes into the 8th house, there can be sexual dysfunctions that need to be addressed, okay? And work through, you know what I mean? Sometimes, male or female, there could be plumbing issues, and there may be things that we need to work on to improve ourselves, okay? Sometimes this happens with Saturn in the 8th, and Saturn in the 8th, it can be a partner's income. So you may have to feel like, Gemini, that you may have to pick up the slack for a partner's income during that time as well, okay? Or that you feel restricted from that income, or yeah, there's a restriction here in some way, but you may have to pick up slack in that regard, okay? If you go into business with someone, I would say be very cautious with sharing accounts. It's not really the time to do that. Investments feel very difficult with Saturn in this 8th house. When after December 19th, if you're going for a loan, it feels very difficult to me, okay? Like you're walking in mud or quicksand. It's just not good, okay? So it's not the time to do that. So I'm just giving you some advice, to be forewarned is to be forearmed, okay? Now, Cancer, Saturn will be going into your 7th house of relationships. So you may feel like you're really being tested with partnerships and relationships. And the relationships that you do have, you may feel as if they're becoming more serious. There's a more serious element to the relationship. You're wanting maybe somebody older than you or somebody who's more mature for their age can be really good. And this is good for Cancer because you're natally have Capricorn there anyway. But it can create, if there's problems, Saturn will let you know what those problems is so you can work on those problems. But sometimes it's 3 steps forward and 2 steps back, okay? It's not really a good time to get married during a Saturn transit in your 7th house. It's better to get married when Saturn leaves, which is 2.5 years after it enters. And it's entering the sign December 19th, 2017. Okay? So Cancer, relationships may feel a little difficult, but it's going to show you the cracks in your relationship so you can fix them, so you can get on a more solid foundation with a partner, whether this is a business partner or a personal relationship. Also, if there's any lies, manipulation, anything like this that is going on, what doesn't come out in the wash will come out in the rinse with a Saturn transit into your 7th house, okay? Just saying. All right, now Leo, this is going into your 6th house. You may feel like you are working super, super hard with, you could be feeling like you're working really, really hard at work. You may feel restricted a little bit. If you're self-employed, I want to say you're busting the move. You're working really, really hard. You're very serious about your job. Sometimes you may feel like you feel restricted from work, or there's projects that you're taking on that are taking longer than maybe that normally you thought they would, okay? That could be happening. If you're working for somebody else, you may feel like, oh my God, I feel so restricted at this place, or I feel so restricted with this boss. That can happen too, all right? But I want to say the harder you work and the more you work through it, the better things get. Because even if you leave that job, you're still going to have that Saturn in that 6th, okay? Also, with Saturn in the 6th house for Leo, it is a really good time to go for a health checkup. After December, I would do it before December 19th, actually. It's a really good time to get your health checked, and it's also a really good time to get your teeth checked. And you may have, like people, a lot of times when you have Saturn transiting your 6th, you may have something chronic going on, like, oh, a toothache that you need to get filled or whatever. A root canal, something with your teeth, your back's aching. Oh my gosh, you know. My solar return when I was pregnant, I had Saturn in my 6th, and I swear to you, I never had backaches. My back was killing me. I had to have a wisdom tooth pulled when I was 7 months pregnant. So bones and teeth, you're really going to feel it, and you may feel aching, and it could be feeling a little chronic with Saturn in the 6th house, something chronic, okay? Okay, but the good thing is that Saturn can, you know, delay, you know, extend your life, so that's good. So you're not going to, like, lose your life or nothing. But it could be something a little chronic or achy that you may deal with. Leo. All right, Virgo, Saturn will be in your 5th house. Now, okay, normally, okay, I would say that this would be a hard time to conceive. If you're looking to conceive a child, this could be very difficult, okay? This could be a very difficult pregnancy, a very hard pregnancy for those of you who are trying to conceive, okay? Some of you may have delays with conception during this time. Some of you, I want to say, this could be a very serious nature when it comes to dating, all right? You're serious. You're not looking for the good time. You're looking for the long time. This can also be where, when it comes to children and discipline, you're becoming more, I'm not saying abusive, but you're becoming more stringent when it comes to boundaries with your children. Like, hey, no, this is a boundary. I will not put up with this. You may have to become a little bit more assertive with your boundaries when it comes to children and what you will and will not deal with, and show them that there are consequences for actions that are happening, okay? Saturn in the 5th could also be where a lot of Virgos find joy in work. Like, I have my 5th house. I'm a Virgo sun, and my 5th house is Capricorn. And I find love and joy in work. I just love it. And last time Saturn was in my 5th house, I had the time of my life at my job. I just loved going to work, you know. And I already love my job, you know, so I just can't wait till the next chapter in my life to see what's going on, because Saturn can make me work really, really hard at a job, especially self-employed, all right? And it could be something that you really love. You can make a hobby something that you're really serious about, you know what I mean, which is really nice. But when it comes to dating, you may not have a lot of options, all right? But the options you do have are very serious. So it's very important to kick those people who aren't very serious to the curb, okay? Weed, weed, weed. Very important. Otherwise, the lesson gets harder and harder, okay? What else is going to say about Saturn in the 5th? You may feel restricted a little bit because of children or because of a creative project. But I'll be honest with you, it's not always bad. Saturn is not always gloom and doom. Like I'm going to tell you, last time Saturn in Capricorn was in my 5th house, I did meet a very serious partner. Oh, you could date someone older than you. You could date someone who's just as serious about relationships as you are, which is what happened to me. I ended up getting married. And we met at work, and it was the best time of my life. Those years were just awesome. So I say that don't necessarily dread Saturn, some of you guys. Depends on the aspects in your chart, okay? But I think that some of you are trying to conceive, that it could be a little difficult. You may date someone older, like I said, or mature for their age. Gambling may not pan out so great with Saturn in the 5th. I'm just going to be honest with you. Gambling may not be great, okay? Libra, this is in your 4th house of home and family. So some of you could feel really restricted when it comes to a home and family situation. Like you really have to be very responsible and work really, really hard for a family situation, okay? Whether it's you're taking care of a parent, or you're, taking care of a home, or you're responsible for other people, you may have to work really hard into making sure that, you're living up to your responsibilities when it comes to a home and family situation. Or you may feel like maybe taking care of a home is a burden, or taking care of this family situation could feel like a burden to you, all right? But the harder you work, the better it will be for you. The best thing to do, especially when Saturn is in its own sign of Capricorn, is do not become lazy, okay? If there's been any lies, manipulation, anything around the home and family sector, it will come out. What doesn't come out in the wash will come out in the rinse, okay? I'm just saying, all right? So a lot of times Saturn puts you where you need to be as far as home and family and karma and all of that stuff, okay? So when Saturn goes into the 4th house, sometimes you may have to relive childhood memories, childhood instances. Some things from the past come up, like, oh, when I was a kid, do you remember this happened and mom did this and you got away with murder and oh my god, and you're still doing it. Like, stuff from the past could like reemerge, okay? Because Saturn will be opposing your 10th house of status, squaring your 7th, and squaring your ascendant. So you could feel very, relationships may be a little difficult. You may feel challenged in certain ways, and you could feel challenged within your status as well with Saturn in your 4th house, just saying, okay? But you could feel this burden or responsibility being put on you in some way, shape, or form, so just be aware of that. Now, Saturn in the 3rd house for Scorpio, some of you could be having very serious communications, some serious, you know, if you're communicating via social media, all of these things, I want to say some of you could feel restricted too, and some of you could feel restricted when it comes to vehicles or social media outlets or computers or whatever. You may feel like there's delays or problems here sometimes, okay? Saturn can be where too, if you're going to take a seminar or a class, you know, it may take longer than expected, especially if you're teaching it. But I want to say the communications you do have could be more on a serious level. Now, 3rd house also rules neighbors. You could feel restricted, like you're not getting along with your neighbors. You're not really liking the neighbor situation. It could be happening at that time. Siblings, you could have issues with siblings. Sometimes when you communicate, people may think, oh my God, you know, you may feel like, am I talking French? What is the deal? So Scorpio, there could be issues with the way you're conveying on social media, or feeling restricted in some way, or like your word is not coming across right, or whatever this is, you're feeling some sort of restriction here. But what you do say is important, and what you do say is serious. Like I said, could feel restriction when it comes to siblings. Vehicles especially, you may have some issues with vehicles, so be careful of that. I would get your vehicle checked before Saturn gets into that house. Okay? Now, Sagittarius, this is in your 2nd house of earned income. This is a really good time to get serious about how you are going to bring in money. Now, Saturn can create limitation and restriction with what goes in and what goes out. So Sagittarius, if you're a spendaholic and you're like, yeah, you know, this is not the time to do that. The time to do this now, actually right freaking now, is the time for you to put money away just in case of a rainy day with Saturn going in your 2nd house. Saturn in your 2nd house can limit your income in some way, shape, or form, and where you're having to work double hard to bring in that same amount of money. Saturn is asking you, what are your values? What are you bringing in? What is going out? Okay? Saturn can sometimes create lack, but it also can challenge you on what you're placing value on. You know, are you putting money before people? You know, all of this. And trust me, Saturn can kick butt. One thing, too, I want to say with Saturn in the 2nd house of earned income, you may deal with real estate, building, trades, mining, teaching. Could be fields that you may be interested in all of a sudden. Okay, so, you know, you may be interested in all of these things, you know. So, or if you're already interested in it, it's even emphasized because the ruler to Capricorn, Saturn is the ruler to Capricorn, and so it's like double that energy. You know what I'm saying? So I want to say real estate, teaching seems like big professions, you know, that you may feel interest in, okay? All right. Okay, so we're Capricorn, this is going to be in your sign specifically. You are going to feel you may feel like you're being pulled in many different directions. You may feel as if you're being pulled between home and family, your status, and your relationship, okay? My advice to you is look at the aspects to your chart, see where you see the red lines, the squares, and all of that, oppositions and everything. Those are going to be your difficult points here. Now, my advice to you would be cut the fat. If you know something's no longer working for you, or you know that somebody is, you know, taking your kindness for weakness or using you, or they're not serious, the key word is serious and hard work. If you know someone's not putting in the work or the effort in a relationship, they gotta go. If you know someone is treating you like an option instead of a priority, they gotta go. If you notice that, you know, you're really rethinking and you're being challenged yourself as a person, okay, as far as home and family situations, relationships, your status, where you're going in life, relationship, career. All of these things are going to be a focus for you at this time, and you may feel like a lot of things may need to be overhauled in your life, and it's very karmic, okay? So Saturn in your first house, you may feel like, you know, I'm feeling a bit restricted, but with heart. And let's face it, you guys are the workhorse of the zodiac, so I don't think Saturn's going to be really hard on you anyway, especially if you're a Capricorn ascendant. My feeling is the harder you work, the more the payoff is going to be. But you need to let go of the things that are no good for you anymore, the things that you know are no good for you, okay? And that's for all the signs, but especially you guys. Now, Aquarius, this is going to be in your 12th house. Aquarius, this is going to be where you may feel like, you may feel, a lot of times when Saturn goes in the 12th house, it can bring depression or sadness and things like this, because it makes you aware of ways in which you get in your own way, and ways in which you know that you have to make changes in your life for certain situations, you know. Saturn here can create, it's more of, it makes you more spiritual because of the things that you may go through during this time. So it's time to basically, I want to say, there could be a lot of introspective time. But just know if you get too depressed or whatever during this time, that it's just a transit. It's not going to last forever. This too shall pass. But whatever is going on, I got low battery, great. Whatever's going on in your subconscious, okay, things may need to change, or you're getting really serious about things that are going on in your life, okay? Saturn can do that in the 12th house, I'm just saying. All right. Okay, so, all right, so when we have Pisces, Saturn's going to your 11th house. If you have friends who are fair weather friends, you know, people who take your kindness for weakness, you may have to, like, say la vie to those friends. You may have to cut the fat, you know. People who aren't serious with you, people who aren't, you know, there's a really serious element here to the area of friendships for you guys, for Pisces. So I would say to you, if somebody is not being serious, or groups or organizations that are no longer serving you, you may call it quits with these people. You know what I mean? You may say, hey, this isn't working for me anymore. I don't believe in this anymore, you know? And you may join another group or organization that fits you better, you know what I mean? But there's a seriousness with friendships, with groups, organizations in your life at this time. And you may work really hard on these friendships. And Saturn can create lack, but the friendships you do make, or the friendships that do last, usually can last the test of time. New friends that come into your life may be older than you or more mature for their age, which is a good thing. So, you know, so this brings you more a solid foundation. And groups that you get more involved in during this time as you're evolving and changing as a person can be more of a long-term thing for you in your life, okay? So anyway, I hope this was helpful to you guys in knowing Saturn, its effect's going to be in Capricorn. Now, it will be conjuncting Jupiter, not Jupiter, Pluto. My mistake, Saturn will be conjuncting Pluto, I think in 2020, I believe, I have to look it up. That's going to be huge karmic transformation in the houses in which I've mentioned for you guys. Huge karmic transformation. So, and if Saturn is hitting some of your natal planets, you know, don't listen to other astrologers. It's not always gloom and doom, okay? Like Saturn hitting the moon can just mean you have issues with your mom. You feel you have issues with females in your life, okay? You may feel restricted from women or females in your life. If you have Saturn hitting your son, you may feel restricted from a father, or you may have issues with a dad or authority figures in your life at that time, you know? Saturn conjuncting Mercury, you may feel like you can't speak, you can't talk and say what you want to say. You know, you may feel like, you know, I'm going to bite my tongue on this one, you know, great, you know. Or you have serious conversations. What you do say is very serious, okay? Saturn conjuncting Mars, your energy feels very restricted. You're holding back. You're not really, you're thinking before acting, which is good. But it can create like a delays in your action, you know, delayed reactions too, you know what I mean? Saturn conjuncting Venus, there could be maybe delay with love, restriction with love. You can be serious love. You know, you're getting more serious about love and relationships. Just depends on how it's playing out in your life, right? Saturn conjuncting Jupiter. It can create restriction to that expansion, okay, or a karmic expansion. Just depends on how it's playing out in your chart, but it can create some restrictions to that expansion. That's kind of what I'm seeing. Okay, what else? So if you have Saturn conjuncting Saturn, you're having your Saturn return. Expect a lot of life changes. It's basically a culmination over the past 29 years of your life, and if you are not, as of yet, 29 years old, you may experience a lot of changes that will help you grow and become more mature as a person. That's what Saturn returns do. It happens at 29, and the next time it'll happen is about 58, okay? Okay, Saturn, okay, Saturn, Uranus, unexpected karmic changes, unexpected karmic events, restrictions to the ups and downs a little bit. Saturn can create some restrictions to some of the ups and downs, which is okay, but the the unexpected things that do happen are very karmic, okay? Saturn can create, conjuncting Neptune can create light in the dark. In other words, where you were confused about something or not sure about something, it can create more clarity for you. Saturn can create more clarity where you have been confused. Now, I will say, if your Neptune is more of a creative energy for you, Saturn could create kind of a restriction or a block in that creative energy at that time. I will say that. That's the only negative part of it. If it's spirituality, Neptune could be spirituality. Saturn can create a seriousness in that spirituality, like you're becoming really serious about that. Or you could be serious about your creativity. If you are doing something creative, Saturn can also make it where you're doing something on a creative level that is very karmic and where you're really working hard on that creativity as well, or taking a long time creating. It could be a creative project that takes longer than normal. Same thing with Saturn and Venus. You may have to work very hard for that money. Venus is love and money. There could be delays with love, delays with money too. But you may have to work very hard for that money as well, and relationship, okay? Saturn conjuncting Pluto or aspecting Pluto can create karmic transformations. It will be conjuncting Pluto, by the way. Karmic transformations, these are huge changes that are very karmic, and this will be around 2020, which maybe I should do another video on. But anyway, I just wanted to let you know kind of what Saturn will be bringing as of December 19th, 2017 for the next 2.5 years. And, you know, so I would say the more you know now, the less you can evade Saturn being so harsh. You know, sometimes it can be very harsh. And it's not usually to be feared. You know what I mean? Saturn is not to be feared all the time. Last time, like I said, when it was in my 5th house, it was the best time of my life. And normally, Saturn in the 5th house can create lack, like lack of dating options, but in I think because my house of dating and, you know, children, creative projects, I've always been such a workhorse, you know. I remember in high school, I was around 16, I think, when Saturn was transiting this, yeah. And, you know, I wasn't really thinking about dating or anything, but I had all these options, and I'm like, that was weird. I look back at it now, I'm like, why did I have so many options? And I know why. Because I was such a studious kid, and the universe probably said, oh my God, we have to give her something because she doesn't know how to, you know, she's so stuck in her books and her schooling and everything else that she's, you know, she has no balance here. So God kind of did the opposite for me, gave me tons of options, tons of friends, and it was, you know, high school was great, and I met my ex-husband. I met somebody who was very serious like I was, and it was really nice. So it's not always to be like gloom and doom, but it can create lack. It can create, if you're noticing somebody is not serious about you and you're serious about them and they're leaving you in wonderment, cut the fat, because it's just going to get more painful, okay? So, and I'm going to put a link up here. If you would like a reading from me, you can book that. Like I said, I am not available tonight, but Monday I will be available, Monday evening. So let's look at some of the comments that you guys have had. I know I've been rambling, but I want to make sure I got everything in because of the fact that I have a client at 9, so I have to be out of here by 8:45. Okay. So any of you guys have any questions? Okay. Okay. Oh, Bon Bon, I see you say this sucks. I don't know what you mean. Was it regarding the Saturn? Saturn, Uranus. Saturn can create a little bit restriction where it comes to some of the ups and downs, but some of the unexpected things that do happen in life can be very karmic. You know what I mean? Look to see where you have Aquarius in your chart to give you more information. Okay? So anyway, I hope this is helpful to you guys. And I just wanted to pop in here and give you some information. Okay. You know, Saturn can sometimes, thank you, Bonbon, sometimes Saturn can bring you something that's very serious and something secure and stable too. Don't forget, with all this energy and all these eclipses, universe is kind of like cleaning house, and literally with a wrecking ball, with a lot of people being like, you know what, the old way's not working, stagnation is not working, change needs to happen, right? With change, okay, you knock everything down with a wrecking ball that was built on sand, right? And you need to build something on solid foundation, and what better way to do it than with Saturn and Capricorn? You know, that's building something on solid, serious foundation, something secure, something you can count on. You know, something that requires work, effort, seriousness, maturity. All of these things can take place, you know. So I would say, as long as you're doing these things, honesty, truth as well. Teaching can be really prevalent, you know, even as, you know, we had Saturn and Sagittarius. Sagittarius can be real teaching too, but so can Capricorn. So people would maybe be more interested in teaching, learning, building. Real estate may be more prevalent with Saturn and Capricorn. You know, building something from the ground up, you know, doing something on oneself, on one's own self, because, you know, Capricorn is kind of the independent sign. It's also the workhorse of the zodiac. It's also working a lot, diligently doing something to make sure that it's done right, you know. So all of these things I'm seeing as a whole, I think is going to be good. But when Saturn hits Pluto, there could be a lot of karmic changes, a lot of karmic transformations that could be happening around 2020. That's what I'm seeing. Okay. Saturn will be in its own sign, yes. Virgo sun, issues with conception, love and romance. Pisces sun, don't really care about losing friends because I'm the older anyway. Okay. Okay. So, I hope this helps you guys. If you guys would like to book a reading from me, I'm going to be putting links here. So I still have my special going, okay? So if you guys want to talk about your natal reading or relationship reading, I just did a really good sexual chemistry reading with a couple, well, with a person who called in regards to a marriage, and it was really, really, I think, helpful for him. So if any of you guys are looking for that type of reading too, any of these things that you book, they're all the same price. Just let me know what kind of reading you're wanting. And yeah, it's your time, so, and you have the option at the end of your time to add more time to your call, okay? So anyway, I'm going to be getting ready for my next client. I just wanted you guys to be aware of Saturn and the effects Saturn has, okay? Hey Yen, how are you? Oh, happy birthday. Oh my God, double Virgo. Wow. Yes, I'm a Virgo ascendant myself. So a lot of changes, you know what I mean? So a lot of people, and I'm going to be honest with you, especially Virgo, man, you know, when it comes to dating, you're done with the crap. You know, a lot of Virgos are like, you know, don't take my kindness for weakness, you know. Lick it, put a stamp on it, send BS someplace else. We're all stuck up here, right? So you guys are like, especially when Saturn goes into Capricorn, for you guys, it's in your 5th house of dating, children, creative projects. So 5th house is your joy, right? You may, like, karmically have things that bring you joy. And that's what happened to me. Well, at least when I was in my teens, you know what I mean? It was great. I mean, it was like a perfect time for me. It was just wonderful. But I did work my rear end up. I mean, I was going to school full time, and then I was also working almost 30 hours sometimes after school, and then I would get up in the morning and go to school. And so, yeah, maybe universe put people into my life to allow me to have a little fun, because my whole life was just school and trying to work, and, you know. And sometimes I can get lost in my job and working too much and things like that too. So I think sometimes if you're a workaholic and you're not really a partier, or, you know, you're imbalanced in another way, sometimes a Saturn transit can give you the opposite. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. When Saturn went into my 11th house of friends, I remember this specifically. Saturn went into my 10th house, gave me one of the best jobs, okay? I started making a lot of money. And then Saturn went into my 11th house, which you would think that I would have. And I started, I had one specific friend I became very close with, and we became best friends. And then I remember during that time, usually Saturn will restrict your friends, groups, and organizations, and it did the opposite for me. It really did the opposite, because I think because I wasn't really seeking out a lot of friends or, you know, anything, and Saturn just kind of pushed me there. It wasn't even, I didn't want, I remember this girl's like, you want to go? I'm like, no, I don't want to go, I'm tired, I just worked all day, come on, come on, come on, come on. I'm like, I do not want to go. And then eventually it became so much fun, we ended up going out like every Friday, Saturday night. But I think I needed that, because we did work so hard at our job during the week to break up the monotony. That weekend was so nice, just to go out and go dancing, and it was downtown Chicago, and oh my God, I met Billy Joel. It was so great. He was at the Julie's, I don't know if you guys know the Julie's Piano Bar downtown. A lot of Italians would go there and everything, but I met Maureen McCormick. She was doing the Vagina Monologues, but she sang. She wasn't really good. But Billy Joel, he sang Piano Man. It was awesome. With the windows were open downtown. It was just great. I met I met Scottie Pippen. I met, and that was on Tavern on Rush. But, I mean, it was just great. I mean, I had a great job at the time, so when we would go out, we would dress up really nice all the time, and we would go out to these were some expensive clubs downtown, really ritzy places. But I had the time of my life, and the best New Year's, I remember the best New Year's was like at a Jilly's event downtown, and yeah, I met so many famous people, and it was just so wonderful. But anyway, so Saturn is not always gloom and doom. So sometimes I feel that if you're so focused and so much into your job, Saturn can kind of be like, no, you need a break, because you're always doing this. You know, if I put more work on you, there's no balance. So I think that's exactly what Saturn did in my instance, you know. But I had so much fun, and yeah, and I had serious friends at that time, a lot of friends that were long-term friendships of mine, and we would go out, and oh my God, we would have so much fun in Chicago, downtown Chicago. Back then is great. I almost cried the day that I found out that club was leveled. Like, they got rid of it. I wanted to cry. I was like, that was the old Rat Pack place, you know, where, you know, they had all the Sinatra music and everything, and then they would have people singing you know, the old Sinatra tunes and everything in the piano bar, and then they had the club downstairs where they had the regular club, and then they had, it was just so much fun, I'm telling you. And, yeah. So, yeah. It sucks to get old, isn't it? Things change, but it was so much fun. So, yeah, I'm, like, not going to be glooming and dooming over the Saturn in my fifths. I'm just praying to God that it's fun again, and that brings joy again to my life, you know. Yeah. So let's stay positive. It's not always gloom and doom, especially for you hard workers. And I'll tell you, if you're not a hard worker and you're lazy and you're a partier all the time, then Saturn can kick your rear end and be like, guess what? Ain't happening no more. So that can be happening too. So anyway, I love you guys, and if you want a reading from me, I will put a link below. And you can book that with me. Again, the earliest appointment I can get you in is Monday right now. I'm booked tonight. So that would be tomorrow, yeah. Anyway, I will talk to you soon. Love you guys. I hope this video is helpful. And the next time I get on, I may answer some questions, but I just have to get ready for this next client, okay? So that is my video on Saturn in Capricorn. All right, see you later. Be serious, but don't be too serious. Have a little fun with Saturn in Capricorn. And I'm telling you, real estate, I think it's going to be huge. Stuff with real estate, building stuff from the ground up, maturity, meeting older people, maturing ourselves as people. That's going to be part of it too. Getting rid of people who are immature, who are not adding to our lives, who are taking from our lives, I think is going to be a huge thing. You know, Saturn is karmic. So Saturn and Capricorn even more so, very karmic things. You know, so anyway, I wish you guys love and luck and happiness, and I hope this video finds you well and gives you some information on what's going to be happening during the next Saturn transit. All right, which doesn't start until December 19th. All right, talk to you soon. Bye-bye.